Welcome back, my seafood fiends. Thanks for joining us again today. We're going to be cooking up something a little extra special today. We're going to be having some fun, making a pretty delicious little plate of food to help curb any munchies that some of you might be occurring out there. So hopefully you all tune in, tag a friend, let them know what we're doing, because we've got some beautiful shrimp here that we're going to use. I've got some really outstanding chorizo. We're gonna make something super delicious. Shrimp and chorizo queso. Super good, super great. And for some of you today is a special Monday, so hopefully this will help cure any of those munchies that you got going on. So we're gonna do this up today. It's gonna be fun. So tune in, and I'm gonna get started. So first things first, I'm gonna save this shrimp for a little bit because we're gonna get our base started first with some of this really beautiful chorizo. Now, I love this stuff. If you've ever taken the Spanish class here with me before, you know how addicted to this I am. This is a great, please, I'm live. Yeah, drop it. This is a really great chorizo. Sorry about that, people. This is a really great chorizo that I love to use a lot. It comes in these links, and we do have this up online. This is really great stuff, high quality product. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to start by kind of just chopping it down into small little rounds. And this is going to help us build a ton of flavor. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to get my pan started here, because just like any kind of cured meats, I like to start in a cold pan, and it's going to help kind of render this fat out. I'm also going to add just a little bit of vegetable oil, because what I want is to actually flavor this oil. So that chorizo, all of the paprika and different spices in there, that fat that's been hyper flavored, is gonna leach out into that oil, and it's gonna help us build a really nice base of flavor for this. I've got some that I already chopped here. This is a pre-cooked sausage too, so we just wanna kind of get it browned. And all right, so I've got that going. And while this goes and starts to render, what I'm going to do is prep some of my other vegetables. I've got a little white onion here. I'm going to cut it and just kind of mince here. Rough chop is fine. Again, this is going to make a mighty snack, so no need to be super delicate and fussy about it. There we go. Beautiful. Got some onion here. I'm actually going to cut up just a little bit extra for later, because I'm going to make a little garnish for this queso as well. Really take it to next level territory. So, just going to dock it like we do. And slice. My chorizo is already smelling amazing. It's turning that vegetable oil that I had in there a beautiful golden brown color. It's just super golden, which is great, because that means it's taking on all that flavor, which is exactly what we want to have happen. All right, so I got my onion chopped. Again, I'm going to reserve this for a little bit later. I have plans for this, so stay tuned. If you have any questions, again, feel free, hit me up. Let me know what you're thinking, and I'll happily try to answer those as best as possible. And we've been having a lot of fun here doing these videos, and your engagement has been super fun. We really appreciate it. Oh yeah, that's looking real good. So this chorizo is starting to brown, it's letting off all its flavor. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get this onion in there with it and get this onion softening. And that onion is also going to infuse that oil with those flavors. So we're building, like I said, a layer of flavor for this queso. And this is going to it's going to really take it kind of, again, to next level territory. It's all about, when doing something like this, it's all about your foundation flavors, which is really, really, really what we're building here. And again, it smells absolutely fantastic. So next thing I've got, jalapeno. So I'm gonna go ahead and clean this, mince this up. Again, this should help satisfy anybody's craving. And I've got a spoon, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna scape out the ribs and the seeds, because that's where a lot of the heat lives. But we're gonna get some good heat from the chorizo already. I mean, if you like it spicy, feel free to leave it intact, that's totally fine. I'm just gonna go ahead and scrape it out for now, because I'm gonna use 2 jalapenos for this, because I do like it spicy, but again, I want more of the pepper flavor than I do the heat from it. Oh yeah, that's looking great. Oh, it just smells absolutely beautiful. You can see we've got this just beautiful golden brown color going on in here. There's that chorizo fat that's collecting. There's that vegetable oil that's being infused with all that. Just absolutely outstanding. So I'm gonna go ahead now and cut my jalapeno into strips, like so. Same with the other. And then I'm gonna turn them and I'm gonna mince them like so. So I've got just nice, finely chopped jalapeno for my queso. Again, trying to get a little bit of heat involved here, because why would you not want that out of a queso? One of the things I see people posting about a lot is how much they miss going to their favorite Mexican restaurants. This might help tide you over a little bit, get you some of those flavors. Again, talk about ultimate snack foods right here. Queso is about as perfect as it gets. So I'm gonna go ahead and add in these jalapenos. Actually, I want to save a few for my experiment later. And next thing I'm gonna do is add some butter. Now again, we've got a lot of fat we're working here. This is not a low-cal dish, but we need this because again, this is gonna add more to that base flavor. So we've got the oil that we've infused with the chorizo and the onion, and now the jalapeno, that chorizo fat that's in there too. So we're working with a good amount of fat here, but we need it. So I'm gonna add a couple tablespoons of butter. This is gonna add some richness, it's gonna add a little depth, it's gonna add really nice flavor, and it's gonna help us build our roux as well, which we don't need the butter for this. You could omit it, but I don't believe in omitting butter because it's delicious. So this is gonna do its thing. Cooking away. Let's see here. Question. Oh yeah. I love the sound of that frying chorizo too. It's a thing of beauty. So now we've got all this melted butter going on here, and just all these just amazing flavors. Super beautiful. So now what I want to do to this is I'm going to add a couple tablespoons of flour. And this is going to build what we call a roux. And this is going to thicken our sauce. And it's what's going to allow us to melt the cheese into everything. So yeah, I'm going to build a little bit of a roux here. I've got my flour in there, and I'm just going to whisk this sort of all together. And what's going to happen is that flour is going to mix with all that fat and create a paste, which is exactly what we want to have happen. So make sure you get all of that flour incorporated into the fat. And then we're going to let this cook for like a minute. Because what happens is if we were to add our liquid to this right now and start cooking it, you would wind up with kind of a floury texture. And we want to cook some of that out. So I'm just going to go stir. Again, this is looking beautiful. I'll kind of show you what we're looking at here. This is kind of what you want your roux to be here. You can see it's got this nice golden color. Perfect. And we're cooking that flour out. Basically, we're toasting it. And that's going to give us a more nice depth of flavor. Again, if you were to just rush in and put your liquid in right away, you would wind up with a very starchy texture in your queso, and we don't want that. My whisk has captured some chorizo. Hard to blame it. So, okay. So that's cooked out a bit. So now I've got some half and half here. which I'm gonna add to this. Well, this is cold. It's always good to use cold cream when you're building a roux. I'm just gonna add kind of a little bit at a time and stir it in there. I'm also gonna turn down my heat just a little bit. And I'm just gonna get this working. And it takes that cream and it thickens up right away, so I'm gonna add some more. This is great. Now here I'm making kind of a party-sized batch. You know, you could certainly make this on a smaller scale if you wanted to, but it's going to be delicious and you're not going to want to. So definitely keep that in mind when you are making. So that fat, it's incorporating in, which is exactly what we want. That cream is nice and thick. So I'm going to add some more. And you can kind of control your texture here. You can go thick, you can go thin. Obviously I'm doing this in a skillet so you can kind of see what I'm doing a little bit better. But sometimes it might be easier to use like a sauce pot to do this in. This is gorgeous. Already it's got that beautiful rich golden color that you would expect from a queso, and we haven't even added cheese yet. So what we've got here is just this beautiful, creamy sauce that, I mean, from right here, you could toss this with some pasta and you'd have a great little pasta dish. All right, just a touch more cream here. And then I'm gonna start adding my cheese. This is beautiful. I'll just let that sort of come up to a simmer. And while that's doing its thing, I'm gonna get my shrimp ready. So I've got a cleaning board here for my shrimp. These, again, are beautiful Mexican chem-free 2125 shrimp. Really perfect. This is great for this kind of thing. These come peeled and deveined already. And I removed the tails from these for this purpose. Because we're gonna actually put it in with the sauce. So we don't want the tails in there. You could have a few for garnish and leave the tails on if you wanted. And I'm just cutting these into like 3 pieces. Again, I want it about the same size as the chorizo, but we don't want to be skimpy on shrimp. We want some nice chunks in there, so that when you're dipping, you can get like the nice shrimp flavor and texture. And we're gonna just poach these shrimp. These are raw, and we're just gonna poach these in this sauce, so that they just cook through and are still nice and tender, not overcooked. Exactly what we want. It's perfect. It smells so good, people. I'm telling you. Delicious stuff we got going on here. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead, add my shrimp to my mix. Fantastic. Get rid of this board. Napkin. And now I'm just going to kind of work this shrimp into this sauce here. Perfect. And again, I just want these shrimp to sort of poach in here. Now I've got my shrimp in. I'm going to start adding my cheese. Now the cheese is also going to thicken this up. So I've got some extra cream on hand to kind of thin it back down if I need to. So this is a little bit kind of back and forth adjusting, and that's just kind of cooking. Sometimes you just gotta eyeball it and work with it. And this is a Colby Jack cheese I've got, something very simple. It's got that nice color. It's gonna melt really nice into this, which is what we want. You have to be careful sometimes with the cheeses that you use, because if they get too hot, they'll split. And then you'll wind up with kind of a grainy, oily sort of queso, which is what we want to avoid. So I'm just working this cheese in here. You can see it's really thick at this point, so I'm going to add some more cream. And sort of whisk this in and just sort of let this all melt and come together while that shrimp just poaches through. Yeah, this is looking beautiful here. Exactly what we want. So I'm going to switch out from my whisk. I'm going to free those shrimps and switch back to my spoon. I'm just going to sort of fold this all together. You can see how just rich and creamy and decadent this is. That shrimp is cooking through nicely. That cheese is melting. See that? Look at that. Come on. Super gorgeous. Again, this would make a really nice base for some mac and cheese. You could throw a bunch of pasta in here and go that route if you wanted to. This is just a really great base for so much stuff. Add more cream back in. Because again, I want this to be nice and dippable. Those shrimps are cooking. What's my fire doing? Bring this back a little bit hotter. Oh yeah. So again, I'm doing this in a skillet just so you can kind of see what I'm doing a little bit easier. But obviously this would be better to do in a little bit of a soft spot. But I don't have any overhead cameras, so, you know. Oh, that's so decadent. This is great. So I'm gonna let this kind of continue to do its thing here. And while that goes, I'm gonna build a little extra garnish for our queso. I've got a tomato here, to which I'm just gonna cut, and then just like we did our onions, I'm just gonna kind of cut into small little cubes, and we're gonna make just a little pico to put on top here, because why not? All right, this is coming together. Oh yeah. You got any queso fans out there? This is gonna be ridiculous. This is going to be good. See that? Look at that. All that cheesy goodness, all that chorizo. There's just so much flavor going on here. Hard to argue with that. Finish up my cream. And let that do its thing. All right. So, again, I'm going to go back to my little pico here. And I'm going to finish dicing my tomato. Just like so. Do the same thing to the other side here. Perfect. And slice, slice, slice. And dice. Perfect. I'm going to add this back to my little container. I'm going to go back to those other little veggies that I had before. I've got this little bit of leftover jalapeno. Add that. I've got some of this leftover onion. I'm going to add that. I've got some lime. I'm going to add a little fresh lime juice to this. Like so. Perfect. And I'm going to add a little bit of cilantro. Put that here because I'm going to need that again shortly. Just kind of rough chop here. Super nice. Go ahead and get this in there. And then a little pinch of salt. And we've got ourselves a nice little topper for this queso. Just going to toss this all together here. And we've got a fresh little pico de gallo here. It's going to be really nice. So I'm going to kind of set this off to the side, let this do its thing while we finish off this luxurious queso. Oh, holy cow, this is so cool looking. Incorporate the last of that cream in there, smooth it out a little bit. It smells so good. Let's see, looks like maybe we have a few questions here. Oh, you can't eat butter? Oh, that's tough. Oh, yep, queso friends drooling. Yeah, this is certainly something that is a drool-worthy dish. Alright. Yeah, this would be great. You could just have out some like nice soft flour tortillas, tortilla chips. You could serve this with a lot of things. You could serve this with some veggies if you wanted to like healthy it up a little bit. Although you're kind of well beyond that at this point. All right, so we have our beautiful queso. So let's start getting this ready. So I've got a little serving bowl here. So let's go ahead and get this all topped off. Look at that. Look at that. Just so creamy and cheesy. Again, we want to make sure we're getting all of our chorizo and that shrimp. Fill this bowl up nicely. That shrimp should be all nice and cooked through by now. You can see, just again, make sure it looks all pink and that it's not translucent anymore. There we go. There it is. One more scoop. We're going to fill this to the brim. We're taking this to the limit. All right. So we've got our queso. So let's go ahead and do just a little bit more cilantro for our garnish here. And just kind of give this a rough mince through. We're going to go ahead and just sprinkle this over the top. Kind of like so. And if you don't like cilantro, you don't have to do this. We get a lot of people talking about how much they hate cilantro in recipes. And the easiest thing to do about that is to just omit it. If you don't like cilantro, don't use it. So I'm going to take some of this fresh pico, put this right on top here. And this is just going to freshen it up a little bit. Absolutely beautiful. And we have a fantastic little bowl of queso. But, as per usual, we're not going to really end it there. I've got a plate here. Like I said, you can serve this with some like warm flour tortillas. You can serve this with your favorite tortilla chips, which is what we're going to do today. We've got something a little extra special. The big red bag. You know it. We all love it. Especially when you've got a bad case of the munchies. So we're going to load up our platter with this. This is going to be awesome. I'm just going to put the chips all the way around, like so. And now you have yourselves a party. Or a party with one. Look at that. Gorgeous. Color just pops. Absolutely beautiful. Heck yeah. A few more on there. This is the stuff. And then, again, we're gonna be classy about this, so let's cut some nice garnish limes here. Sort of put on our plate. Perfect. So I'm picking up some of that cheese dust. There we go. There it is. Ooh, yeah. Now tell me about that. Tell me you don't want to eat that. How good does that look? It's a beautiful bowl of queso. That's right, you could eat this whole bowl to yourself. I wouldn't judge you for it. It's really good. All that chorizo, all that shrimp. Again, super gorgeous. Really just nice plate of snack right there. As long as I don't spill it. But that's all there is to it. Making a really nice simple queso with shrimp, with the chorizo. Just super delicious. This is sure to make anyone happy. Your household would be very appreciative of you for making this, I am sure. But thanks so much for tuning in. This was fun to make. As you know, we'll definitely be back tomorrow with something else fun to do. So, and if you have any suggestions or questions, anything like that, please leave them in the comments. We're always looking for fun, new ideas. So keep them rolling. Otherwise, stay safe, snack well, and we will talk to you tomorrow.